Hey everyone, welcome back to Ask Warble. We're here again with Chris.
Hey.
Hey Chris. We're going to be talking about today breaking the ice, actually smashing through that ice if we can. So a lot of time at events, weddings and whatnot, it's kind of really important thing to kind of consider to make sure that we break the ice maybe as early on as possible. Do you find that it's kind of an important thing that you're having to get across to people?
Yeah, I mean, quite often, because the most kind of common things that we get are going to be inquiries for things like bands, where it's just something for the evening that just kicks things off, and is pretty much continual entertainment. But there are going to be parts of the day where a band isn't going to be appropriate, and you might need something else to kind of fill the gaps that are going to be there. So a lot of kind of walkabout entertainment, so things like caricaturists and magicians, they're always going to be the things that we would recommend, just to make sure that everyone's talking, and it creates a bit of a talking point amongst guests then as well.
I suppose at a wedding, maybe you spent so long like planning your table settings, and you're trying to get groups of people that might work together. And there are some tables you don't have to worry about at all, because you put friends that know each other for years. They don't need any introductions. But is it kind of about sparing a thought for those guests who may not have met at all before, and you've kind of left them to their own devices to make small talk?
Yeah, definitely, because it's always the case of weddings is you're going to have a large family contingent, but you're also going to have friends as well, and it can often be a little bit of a split in terms of people. It's very rare that you'll get guests where everyone just knows everyone. So the sort of main emphasis that we would put on this kind of entertainment is it just brings those guests together. Mostly the kind of icebreaker type entertainment, it's going to be things that are done in groups. So it gets everyone together into small groups, and it immediately just kind of makes everyone feel a bit more relaxed.
I've had weddings in the past that I've been to, and like I'll be talking to somebody. We'll kind of introduce ourselves, like, oh hey, what do you do? And then we both find out the only thing that we have in common is that we both know the groom, or we both know the bride. But then if all of a sudden you have something else to talk about, what we call a talking point, it kind of makes things a little bit easier, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's really good, because these kind of entertainers that we have, so be it the caricaturists or the magicians, this is what they do every week. So they know exactly how to talk to people straight away. They'll be asking the questions that are going to get people engaged and to get them talking. So it takes the emphasis off your guests to actually make that initial kind of conversation. Because if you've got an entertainer that's going to be really friendly, really approachable, very engaging as well, it just kind of takes the emphasis off everyone else, and people will just immediately relax into it then.
Yeah, totally. I mean, the earlier on that you can do this, the better, because I guess, does it kind of set you up for the later parts of the day? Because obviously you don't want that split that you kind of talking about to still be there later on when everyone's having a celebration.
Definitely, because it's always the case, especially like you were saying at the start of the day, or maybe kind of earlier on in the afternoon. There's going to be times where the bride and groom, they're not going to be around to be able to kind of introduce people to each other. After the ceremony, they're going off to do photos. There's loads of stuff that they need to worry about. So what they would normally want is somebody to basically take that role and just get people talking, get people interacting with each other. And then if you can have something, be it maybe during a drinks reception or something like that, maybe the start of the wedding breakfast as people are sort of taking their seats around the tables. It just means then that everyone is automatically relaxed and talking to each other, and then it just sets it up nicely for the rest of the evening then.
Cool. I don't know if you're like me, but the word icebreaker was always a little bit scary to me. It always feels like, when you get nudged to like get involved, and I'm one of those people who likes to maybe like stay on the fringes. But one thing I've noticed with entertainment used as an icebreaker, it's not one of those things where you see a lot of kind of ice-breaking games and stuff at weddings, and like you feel a bit kind of coerced to get involved. But with this type of entertainment we're talking about, you can kind of still watch on the edges and still enjoy it.
Definitely, because especially, let's take magicians as an example. If you have a walkabout magician and they're doing a card trick, for example, then it might just be one or two people in the group that will be participating in the actual trick itself, but then everyone else is kind of an onlooker to that, and they can then sort of have a laugh with it, interact, sort of comment on the trick being done, try and catch everyone out. It's something that's a little bit fun. So although you're not directly participating and you're not feeling that pressure to actually have to participate, if you're a little bit kind of self-conscious and don't want to kind of make a fool of yourself, then you can still have fun and sort of join in with it, but maybe as kind of like an onlooker rather than actually the sort of person who's actually participating.
Of course, I think that's another thing with caricaturists as well, is that I know we always talk about, it might be the case that if you have so many guests and everyone wants to be drawn, they're not going to be able to draw everyone, but that doesn't mean that not everyone is going to be able to enjoy it, and it's still breaking the ice at the same time.
I mean, mentioning their caricaturists like you did, it's one of the main things that we try and get across when people are inquiring about caricaturists, every single day I get people who say, oh, well, I'm not going to have a caricaturist because I'm not going to have enough time to get everyone drawn, so it's not going to be worth it, people are going to be left disappointed. But, there's more to the entertainment and to the service than actually just the actual physical drawings. You'll find that people won't necessarily want to participate in the actual drawings, but they'll want to stand around and kind of watch friends and family, get their drawings done, poke fun at them a little bit. And that's just as entertaining as actually having your drawing done. So, a couple of hours, be it 2 or 3 hours, it is normally kind of standard for any kind of mix and mingle act, be it a caricaturist or a magician. You're going to get a lot of value during that time. You're going to get the drawings, but you're also going to get somebody there who's basically just going to, have a laugh with everyone and just make everyone, have fun at the end of the day.
Cool. You mentioned earlier about the fact that most people will think about maybe their band or their evening entertainment.
Yeah.
But we can still utilise music in a way to break the ice, can't we, in early parts of the day? So what kind of acts will we be looking at then in terms of musical type things early on?
I mean, if you're looking for something that is a musical act, if you absolutely love music and you want that to be, the thing that you base your entertainment around, then what is really popular at the moment is what we would call roaming bands. So what a roaming band is and how it kind of differs from a standard band is that a normal band is going to be kind of rooted to one spot. They are going to be restricted by their sound and equipment and being plugged into a
They might actually be on a stage somewhere.
Exactly. And although that is really fun to watch, it's not something that is immediately engaging for people. However, the roaming bands, they are just musicians that are completely unplugged, so there's no sound and equipment needed, and they will basically just walk around the tables. They will sort of get people talking, they'll kind of perform to small groups. So this could be, your standard sort of covers band, so it could be like, an acoustic guitarist and that kind of thing. Cool. We have things like mariachi bands.
Mariachi bands are fun.
Which could definitely do something as well. That's something really, really different that is an immediate talking point for people. Not everyone's seen a mariachi band or will even know what a mariachi band is, and when you get 3 or 4 guys gate crashing singing some songs that everyone loves, that's immediately just going to get people talking.
Exactly. The other thing that is kind of on those kind of lines where it might be a little bit surprising and it's great to really break the ice, and I think sometimes it depends how far you want to go to break the ice. Sometimes it's about maybe settling your guests into the day and having something a little bit smaller, like we talked about, like a magician or a caricaturist, or sometimes you could go a little bit further and shock people, and lookalikes and impersonators. I know there are different ways you can incorporate them, but why are they useful for breaking the ice?
Well, I mean, lookalikes and impersonators, it's something, especially with lookalikes, it's something that's kind of instantly recognisable. If we take, someone like our Del Boy lookalike, for example, 9 times out of 10, everyone's going to know who Del Boy is. It's kind of, it's popular culture. It's kind of really catches people off guard because they think, oh, is it the real David Jason, or is it Del Boy? It's kind of like, it gets people asking questions and sort of talking around the tables. And with certain kind of lookalikes and that sort of thing, depending on their performance, it could be like a gate crash type thing where, they immediately just kind of break into the room, start cracking jokes, it all in character. Or it could be something that's a little bit more kind of subtle, where it's more just kind of like they act like a guest. So they'll sort of walk around, chat to groups of people, do their, actual routine. So it can work in both ways, but both ways are really effective in terms of getting people, sort of talking to each other.
About it. Cool. Photos. Most people love to get involved with photos at weddings, whether they're in the photos posing or whether they're kind of snapping away themselves on their phones and whatnot. I know there are a few different ways you can kind of break the ice with photos. I know people use like hashtags and things like that. Definitely. But one thing we're seeing quite a lot of recently is photo booths. What would you say about that in terms of maybe getting people involved in photographs in kind of a different, quirky way and breaking the ice and getting groups together?
Yeah, well, I mean, like you were saying, that photo booths, it is a really good one because a lot of our photo booths, like you said, you'll have the booth itself, there'll also be kind of like props and things like that. So it is kind of something that's meant to be, light-hearted. It's not there as like a professional photograph. People aren't going to necessarily be hanging these kind of pictures on the walls and stuff.
You can rely on your professional photographer because they're always going to deliver. You're always going to get amazing photographs at the end of your wedding, but all those kind of candid shots throughout the day, maybe where you weren't even there, and you can kind of see it back. That's the moments you're kind of capturing with those, aren't you?
Yeah, it's very much kind of like a behind the scenes look at the day, really. It's like you were saying, you'll have a professional photographer that will be kind of capturing all the kind of intimate moments, so be it kind of first dance and all that kind of stuff, But, you know, if you're so busy during the day that you're, you know, not being able to kind of speak to every guest and sort of getting an idea as to how people are actually reacting, then, you know, having a load of photos after the event of just people dressing up in silly hats and feather boas and, you know, just really having a good time. And like you were saying with like the hashtags and that kind of stuff, you know, being able to share those afterwards, so be it, you know, via kind of file sharing and that kind of thing, you have instant access to, you know, all of your guest images for the day.
Exactly.
And it's just something that, although you're not directly involved with that as the couple necessarily, you know, you get a really good idea as to how much of a success your wedding was by kind of looking through those pictures afterwards.
Yeah, of course. And I think that the thing with that, with using the hashtag or using photo booths, it kind of connects people who are at the wedding who wouldn't have known each other.
Yeah.
And they might be, you know, friends afterwards or stay in touch because of those moments.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
it all kind of ties in and works, doesn't it?
Absolutely, yeah.
Cool. Any final words on breaking the ice?
I would just say don't be, you know, afraid to have that idea. You know, it's like a lot of people want to be quite traditional in terms of sort of entertainment. They'll just kind of want a band. They might want, you know, a sort of a string quartet during the drinks reception because it's kind of classically what people think of. But, you know, don't be afraid to ask about magicians or caricaturists or photo booths or any of the stuff we've talked about today, because at the end of the day you might come across something that you might not have thought of but is just actually a really good idea.
Awesome.
And we will definitely sort of help and advise with that as well, and sort of give you, you know, the sort of reassurance that it's going to be, you know, a good decision for your day.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks, Chris.
No
Amazing. Again, thanks for asking Ask Warble today. If you guys have any questions, get in touch using the hashtag Ask Warble or comment below. Thank you.